Are there any seminarians from IPF here this morning? Let's go ahead and confess now. Okay, I'm safe. Today's gospel about this storm on the sea with Jesus asleep in the boat is not really about the squall. It's not really about the waves filling the boat. Today's gospel comes down to a single sentence. Do you not care that we are perishing? Do you not care? We could take out the squall and the waves and the sinking boat and put in 1,000 other things, and the question remains the same. Do you not care that we are perishing? Now, I work a lot with young people, seminarians and younger priests and others, and many of them are millennials. And if you spend any time at all on YouTube, you discover that being a millennial is not a happy state. And I take enormous delight in teasing them. And sometimes these younger folks get all worked up about some things. You know, this is hard, this is difficult. Jesus, don't you care that I'm perishing? And because I am a mean, sarcastic, ornery curmudgeon in my advancing years, I look at them straight in the face and I say to them, no, you're not perishing. Starbucks will be open tomorrow. It's okay. You are not actually perishing. Or it's the pressure of exam time, or it's being a new person in a new parish, or it's the transition from here to there. Like, no, you are not perishing. This is called normal life. This is normal life, and sometimes normal life is hard. And it's okay if it's hard and you're uncomfortable and it hurts, but you're not perishing. The devil likes hyperbole. He likes to exaggerate. And in that exaggeration, the discomfort or the fear becomes disproportionate to the actual circumstances. You can actually survive a day without Starbucks. We won't even get into Husker football. You're not perishing. But sometimes we do face circumstances that begin to test our faith. Sometimes, not every day, but in exceptional moments, we confront a situation that is viscerally raw, where we are helpless before significant pain or loss or confusion. And in that moment, we can't help but fall into that question. Lord, do you not care that we are perishing? Fear is powerful, and fear is disorienting and heavy. It happens that some people actually live a trauma that hasn't occurred out of fear. People imagine a diagnosis, an accident, a loss that hasn't even happened, but all the emotions, all of the reaction is already stirring in them in this grip of fear. And it is as if they are living in that anguish when nothing has happened. This is the influence of fear to rob us of joy and security and the delight in the life that we're actually living. But the trauma, the distress, the pain is already felt, experienced, and lived. It is a memory that people can carry even though that thing has not occurred. And from that imagining, that fantasy, can come this cry, "Lord, do you not care?" And then other times, what we dread, what is awful to be in, is quite real. It's quite real. The book of Job, in which Job experiences extraordinary hardship, and then he complains to God. This is Job's prayer right here. And then God arrives and stands before Job and says these things like today's first reading. "Where were you when I made the heavens? Do you know where I store up the rains?" And God's answer to Job is absolutely dissatisfying. God says to Job, "I am God and you are not. What do you think you know?" So we have this and this, back and forth. The answer that God gives Job doesn't necessarily help us walk in the most excruciating, painful moments that we encounter. What happened for Job is that he experienced a presence. God met him. God faced him. God was there in an encounter with Job that cannot be expressed. That is not an answer, a solution, a fix to the problem. What left Job in consolation, what gave him a new peace, was not the words that were spoken, but the presence. The presence. The disciples in the boat in the midst of the storm, all they see is Jesus asleep. And their conclusion in their terror as Jesus sleeps, "Don't you care? Don't you care about what's happening?" And then Jesus responds. It's a powerful and mighty thing that Jesus, the Son of God from Nazareth, stands up in the boat and commands the wind and the storm to cease, and it happens. It happens. That is impressive. 27 years ago, I had Mass in a church on Saturday evening in Scranton, Pennsylvania. There was an enormous thunderstorm outside, and right in the middle of the homily, this bolt of lightning and crash of thunder happened outside the window. The entire church was stilled and silenced. And from the middle of the church came this little soft voice. "Did you do that?" That would be impressive. That would be impressive. Our greatest struggle is not the storm on the sea in the boat. We are afflicted often by fear. We are afflicted by temptation to retaliation, resentment, unforgiveness. We are afflicted by the urge to protect ourselves, to pull back. and we are afflicted by our own sins. And so the storm on the sea is just the first image. Then there's this scene at the end of the gospel on Good Friday, where Jesus is crucified between two men, one of whom mocks him, and the other sees. And the one who mocks him says, "If you are the Son of God, then come down from here and take us with you." What does that mean? If you are the Son of God, you wouldn't be caught dead here. But if you're living what I'm living in this awful, horrible death, you can't be God. If you're here in this with me, a convicted criminal, you're no God. But the other man, living the same situation, convicted of a crime punishable by death, he looks at Jesus and he says, "Remember me." His anguish, the worst hour of his life, is not an obstacle to the presence of God. He sees in this other man being crucified, suffering what he's living right next to him, as a gift of God. Here I am in the most excruciating moment of my life, and so are you. But you're not watching from a safe distance in your omnipotence. You who are infinite love are here, going through what I'm going through. Because you are here, you are God. And all of your power, all of your infinite wisdom is not protecting you from the pain that I am living. That's love. That's the real storm that Jesus quiets. That's the real face of God. I am in agony, and so are you because of me. And then that second criminal has an enormous privilege. Jesus says, "Today you will be with me in paradise." And then it's so beautiful, it's such a tender miracle. Jesus dies first. Jesus dies first. This man who sees God suffering next to him because he's in agony, Jesus goes first and helps that criminal to see the extent of the love that is offered him right there in the worst moment of his life. Jesus goes first. And he dies, this criminal dies, having witnessed the ultimate gift of God, so that he can let go of his own life and believe that paradise, today I will be with him in paradise. Jesus never ever turns to the Father and says, "Don't you care? Father, don't you care that I am perishing?" Jesus only sees love. Jesus only knows a love of a Father who is with him, who feels for him, who shares everything. Sometimes we think that we're perishing when we're not. Call me. I will mock you mercilessly. It's okay. Walk it off, no problem. But sometimes there is an agony that is real, and overpowering and shakes our everyday faith. And then Jesus shows himself right with us, sharing exactly what we live. He goes first so that we can live in confidence of this love that holds nothing back. Do you see how much I care? With everything I am, with everything I have, I care.